Welcome to our continuing series, Questions and Answers for a World in Crisis. Today, Sadhana, Part 2, from Sri Aurobindo. By intensive sadhana, I meant the endeavor to arrive at one of the great positive realizations, which would be a firm base for the whole movement. I observe that he speaks of sometimes getting a glimpse of some wide calm, a descent of this wide calm permanently into the consciousness is one of the realizations of which I was thinking. That he feels it at such times seems to indicate that he may have the capacity of receiving and retaining it. If that happened, or if the Prakriti Purusha realization came, the whole sadhana would proceed on a strong, permanent base, with a new and entirely yogic consciousness, instead of the purely mental endeavor, which is always difficult and slow. If I have not written to you, it is because I could not add anything to what I had already written before to you. I cannot promise that within a given time you will have a result which will enable you either to go out into the world with a stronger spirit or succeed in the yoga. For the yoga, you yourself say that you have not yet the whole mind for it, and without the whole mind, success is hardly possible in sadhana. For the other, it is hardly the function of sadhana to prepare a man for the ordinary life in the world. There is one thing only that could work in a direction which would help you to something which is not that, but still not the whole yoga for which you intimate that you are not wholly ready. It is if you get the spirit of the yoga of works, as it is indicated in the Gita. Forget yourself and your miseries in the aspiration to a larger consciousness. Feel the greater force working in the world, and make yourself an instrument for a work to be done, however small it may be. But whatever the way may be, you must accept it wholly and put your whole will into it. With a divided and wavering will, you cannot hope for success in anything, neither in life nor in yoga. You used the force for the work, and it supported you so long as you preferred to stick to that work. What is of first importance is not the religious or non-religious character of the work done, but the inner attitude in which it is done. If the attitude is vital and not psychic, then one throws oneself out in the work and loses the inner contact. If it is psychic, the inner contact remains. The force is felt supporting or doing the work, and the sadhana progresses. The spiritual effectivity of work, of course, depends on the inner attitude. What is important is the spirit of offering put into the work. If one can, in addition, remember the mother in the work, or through a certain concentration, feel the mother's presence or force sustaining or doing the work, that carries the spiritual effectivity still farther. But even if one cannot, in moments of clouding, depression, or struggle, do these things, yet there can be behind a love or bhakti, which was the original motive power of the work, and that can remain behind the cloud and re-emerge like the sun after dark periods. All sadhana is like that, and it is why one should not be discouraged by the dark moments, but realize that the original urge is there, and that therefore the dark moments are only an episode in the journey, which will lead to greater progress when they are once over. No, without sadhana, the object of yoga cannot be attained. Work itself must be taken as part of sadhana. But naturally, when you are working, you must think of the work, which you will learn to do from the yogic consciousness as an instrument and with the memory of the divine. The unhappiness is not necessary or inevitable in the sadhana, but it comes because your inner nature feels the touch of the divine presence, indispensable to it, and uneasy when it does not feel it. To feel it always, a certain constant detachment within, allowing you to remain within and do everything from within, is necessary. This can more easily be done in quiet occupations and quiet contacts. For it is quietness and inwardness that enable one to feel the presence. The stress of the power is all right, but there is really nothing incompatible between the inner silence and action. It is to this combination that the sadhana must move. The first thing, therefore, that has to be done is to bring back the supporting restfulness. And this is ordinarily done by cessation of work and repose. In the experience you had that was replaced by a restfulness that came from above in answer to your station of prayer, and an energy that also came from above, it is the same principle as in sadhana. The reason why we want people to make the consciousness quiet, so that the higher peace may come in, and on the basis of that peace, a new force from above. During the course of the sadhana, one can learn to draw upon the universal life force and replenish the energies from it. But usually, the best way is to learn to open oneself to the Mother's force and become conscious of it, supporting and moving or pouring into the system and giving the energy needed for the work, whether it be mental, vital, or physical. It is better, whether with work or with sadhana, to go on quietly, allowing the force to act and doing your best to let it work rightly, but without this self-tormenting and constant restless questioning at every point. Whatever defects there are would go much sooner if you did not harp on them too much. For by dwelling on them so much, you lose confidence in yourself and in your power of openness to the force, which is there all the same, and put unnecessary difficulties in the way of its working. It will be better to do the work as a sadhana for getting rid of the defects, rather than accept the defects as a reason for not doing the work. Instead of accepting these reactions as if they were an unchangeable law of your nature, you should make up your mind that they must come no longer, calling down the aid of the Mother's force to purify the vital and eliminate them altogether. If you believe that the trouble in the body must come naturally, it will come. Rather fix in your mind the idea and will that it must not come and will not come. If it tries to come, reject it and throw it away from you. From the point of view of sadhana, you must not allow yourself to be in the least disturbed by these things. What you have to do, what is right to be done, should be done in perfect calmness, with the support of the divine force. All that is necessary for a successful result can be done, including the securing of the support of those who are able to help you. But if this outer support is not forthcoming, you have not to be disturbed, but to proceed calmly on your way. If there is any difficulty or unsuccess anywhere, not due to your own fault, you have not to be troubled. Strength, unmoved calm, quiet, straight and right dealing with all things you have to deal with must be the rule of your action. The transformation of the nature, the harmonizing of all these discordant things in the being, are the work of sadhana. Therefore you need not be discouraged by observing these things in you. There is hardly anybody who has not found these things in himself. All this can be arranged by the action of the inner force, with the constant consent and call of the sadhak. By himself, he might not be able to do it, but with the divine force working within, all can be done. One can have no fixed hours of meditation and yet be doing sadhana. My intention was that by your remaining quiet, it would be possible for the Mother's force to work in you and establish a better starting point and a course of initial experiences. It was what was beginning to come. But if your mind again becomes active and tries to arrange the sadhana for itself, then disturbances are likely to come. The divine guidance works best when the psychic is open and in front. Yours was beginning to open. But it can also work even when the sadhak is either not conscious of it or else knows it only by its results.